I just got diagnosed with PCOS, and this is my journey to get that diagnosis, my experience, and honestly, all of the emotions that I'm feeling. Welcome back to We'll Be Alright podcast. I'm your host, Lisbet, and I'm really excited about today's episode. And as per usual, this episode is not going to be edited. This is raw, filtered, honest. So let's just get right into it. Let's start with the most up-to-date thing that I know, and it's that I have PCOS. Now, when I got that diagnosis, I would love to say that I was shocked or surprised, but I was not. I haven't been feeling super great lately, and I knew something was up, especially with my hormones. Last year was a really hard year for me for many different reasons, but one of the things that happened last year is I had a really hard time losing weight. And for the life of me, I could not figure out why or what was going on, no matter the different diets that I did, which I'm anti-diet, but basically I just tried to eat different foods and work out. Nothing seemed to work. And I went to different doctors last year, or I've been going to different doctors for a whole lot of different reasons, but last year I went to doctors specifically asking like, hey, my period isn't super regular and I have really bad cramps and I'm getting these like hairs that I have to like trim every week and something's just not right. Do you think you can test me for my hormones? And every single time I was turned down and I was told that I was young, that I was healthy, and that I was fine, that sometimes that just happens to just keep working out and eat less, which for a person that also struggles with eating disorders and body dysmorphia, it's not that simple. It's not that straightforward ABCD that some of these doctors are putting it out to me. So after a while, I kind of just got tired of advocating for myself and I got into a pretty deep hole with like depression and anxiety. So I kind of just put everything aside for a while. And then earlier this year, if you recall, I actually did an episode about this and I was dealing with some really, really bad UTIs, BV, yeast infections. Like I did not know what was going on. I've been on 6 different antibiotics this year alone. And it wasn't until, so I've been to 3 different gynecologists this year, 3 or 4, 3. And it wasn't till my second one. Okay. So my first, so this is so going to get so complicated. Basically earlier this year, I moved back to Miami. I lived in Michigan for 2 years and, I saw the gynecologist my mom was going to, and she had really good experiences with her. So I went to her when I started having really bad UTIs and yeast infections, because typically I just kind of go to urgent care and then they're like, follow up with your physician. And I didn't the first time because I was like, oh, I feel like I know why I got UTI. And I actually, no, I'm sorry. I did follow up with them. They gave me a month in advance, like later the appointment. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be done with my antibiotics by then. So obviously I would go to her appointment and nothing was wrong. But something kept going wrong. And obviously, like, it was very frustrating because every time you call their office, they're like, oh, we can see you in like 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm like, but I'm in excruciating pain right now. And if you're a girl and you've gone through UTIs or BVs or yeast infections, you know what I'm talking about. It is not a fun time and is not something that I would want anyone to go through. So for you to tell me that I have to wait 3 to 4 weeks, first of all, there's a lot of things that can go wrong if those things aren't treated properly in time. So obviously I would end up going to the urgent care. They would give me antibiotics. They would like follow up with your physician. I would go to my physician or my gynecologist and everything was fine because I was taking antibiotics, but then it would come back and that cycle repeated. And then by the last time it repeated, I was like, okay, something's not right here. And I didn't think that she was giving me the best treatment possible. Like, if you're a girl and you think that you have BV or yeast infection or any of this, please make sure that they swab. If they do not swab, they're not going to know what it is. And I don't care if they're like, no, you can definitely tell when it's BV and you can definitely tell when it's a yeast infection. No, you cannot. Okay. Like, yeah, maybe you can, but I want you to make sure. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure the last time that she gave me antibiotics, she was treating me for BV when I really had a yeast infection. So I took antibiotics for like no reason. Anyways, after the last experience with her, I was like, okay, this lady clearly does not get me. Like she's not listening to me. Like I went to her the first time that I got earlier this year, I want to say like, let's say end of March or beginning of April. And I was like, look, these are the symptoms I'm having. I'm having irregular periods. I have really bad cramps. Something's just not right. She's like, well, having really bad cramps is absolutely normal. Like, it's actually really good. It means that you are, your eggs are releasing and things are working properly. That was so not great to hear. And I don't know, something about that always felt off, but I just kind of kept going to her. And then by the fifth time of going to her, I was like, this is ridiculous. I've been on 5 different antibiotics. This keeps coming back. I have no idea what's going on. This is not normal. Okay. And I found a new gynecologist that was an expert in like the BV yeast infection world, right? Went to him. He was lovely. I wasn't having anything like active at that moment. So he was like, listen, we're going to swab you just in case, make sure everything's fine. And I didn't know that he was swabbing me for another type of, like thing you can get. It's a type of something that is rarely tested. And I want to give you guys the name. It's urolysis. I think I think I have it written down somewhere. If you're curious, please shoot me a message or like leave me a comment and I'll like write it for you guys. But basically, I had never been tested for any of this, like, or for that specific like infection, you can say, until him. And that basically was like, one, it could cause you to not become pregnant. So there's a lot of women that struggle to get pregnant and maybe they don't have PCOS or they don't have any sort of other things that are going on. And then they get tested for that. And it's because they had this like very random, like cell infection thing that they didn't know because it's not regularly tested. So when I found out I had that, it was like this kind of like crazy moment of, oh my God, there's an answer to my solutions. And it was great to be able to have an answer. And that was one of the reasons why I was having these like BVs and yeast infections, so on and so forth. And he was lovely. He was great. Took my 6th round of antibiotics. And so far I'm feeling lovely. That's been like a month from now, or a month ago. Sorry. So far I'm feeling great. Now, my mom's going through some of her own stuff with menopause, and there's a gynecologist that some people that she works with recommend, some ladies that she works with recommended to her. So she's like, Lisbet, she went, she loved him. She's like, Lisbet, you have to go to him. He's lovely. He knows so much. Just like make an appointment, see what's up, because she knows what had been going on. By the way, that second gynecologist that I went to that found like that random infection or whatever it's called, I also told him and expressed the same concerns, and he's like, I mean, you're young. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. We can get you on birth control, or when you're trying to get pregnant, just come back and we'll see how things are going. Which I didn't love that. Like, he was great, but I didn't love that response. And I was like, okay, well, what if I wanted to like get an ultrasound or something? And he's like, oh, just like schedule another appointment, which is like 3 to 4 weeks from that, right? I'm like, okay, cool, thanks, bye. So my mom raved about this guy. I was like, listen, make me an appointment and I'll go. So, because she was going to get something else. That was last week. So, 3rd gynecologist this year. And he is lovely. I can testify to that. He is such a welcoming energy, especially when you're talking about sensitive topics like the one he handles. And he was so warm, so friendly. He's from Mexico, which I just love because he's Latino and he's just like amazing. So, his assistant, she's like, what's up? Why are you here? I was like, listen, these are the symptoms that I'm having. So I have irregular periods. I have really bad cramps. I get random like hairs all over my face and I have to shave those hairs multiple times, like a week for them to stay away because they never go away. And I'm getting this like stabbing pain in my ovaries. She's like, okay, we'll express it to the doctor. You're going to meet with him. You're going to like talk to him, say all this stuff. But even like her talking to me, she's like, because I didn't know how to explain that pain that I was getting in my ovaries. She's like, kind of like stabbing. I'm like, yes. And obviously that scared me because like she knew what I was talking about. I was like, oh God, she knows what I'm talking about. Something's wrong. So thank God my mom was there with me because I was like really nervous. But I meet him. He listens to all my concerns. He's like, listen, let's do an ultrasound. Let's see what's going on. Let's do some blood work. And we're going to figure this out. So that same appointment, he passes me to the ultrasound tech lady, she was also lovely. Loved her. She was amazing. I did my first ultrasound via hoo-ha, which is not as painful as I thought it was going to be. It was actually not painful. Like the first moment, the first thing, like it goes in, you're like, ooh, okay, that feels uncomfy, but it's actually not that painful as I thought it was going to be. It hurts way, way, way. Like it doesn't hurt. Like compared to a pap smear or something like that, it doesn't hurt. So he comes in and he goes, yep, you have PCOS. You have like cyst in your ovaries, or I don't know what the actual terminology for it is, but basically you have more eggs in your ovaries than you should. So, which is not normal, and it's because insulin resistance, and I'm still learning about this. So bear with me as I'm learning about this new diagnosis. I know, or I had known what PCOS was, but I didn't dive into it so in depth as I am right now because I have to. But he basically goes, "Don't worry, it's not a concern. Like we're gonna work through this. We're gonna figure it out. You're fine." He was very relaxed, very chill. He had seen this before. He knew what to do. He was educated. He made me feel comfortable. And again, like when I'm sitting down in this chair with a machine, looking at my ovaries, up my hoo-ha, and my doctor there, and like the tech, he's telling me this, my initial thought wasn't surprise. It was kind of like this relieved moment of, oh my God, an answer to my solution, an answer to what's going on. This is all I've wanted for the past years. And especially this year, after going through so much, this feels amazing. And then also it hits you, you're like, oh my God, I have PCOS. Like, this is scary because, you know, you might have heard about PCOS. Like, it's hard to get pregnant and there's different, like, it's like I had heard just the scary stuff of it, right? So he was so relaxed. I really needed that. He's like, don't worry. We're going to give you some supplements because I told him I don't want to get on birth control. I don't want to do UTIs or any of the stuff of that. Because that really affects with my depression and my anxiety. And I've been on birth control once and it messed with my whole body way too much. I can't do that again. And I'm not going to. And he goes, no worries. There's a natural route that we can go with supplements and changing of diets and like your whole lifestyle and whatever. And I was like, okay, let's talk about that. So it was crazy to finally know that I wasn't crazy. I had been advocating for myself for so long. I knew something wasn't right. I knew something felt off. I know my body really well. I can be a hypochondriac, but I just knew something was off with that part of me. Which is one of the biggest things I can tell you if you are a woman, you know your body so well. And if you're so in tune with it and you feel like something's wrong, keep going to doctors. I know it's so difficult to make appointments and to wait and fill out paperwork and do all this stuff. I know, but it feels so great when you get to a doctor that actually cares and that's willing to help you. And it feels like this moment where like the window's open and it's like, I'm not crazy. And so many doctors tried to make me feel crazy and like everything was normal and like everything was all right and it wasn't. And I'm so grateful that I kept advocating for myself and that I kept like, it got to the point where even at this last appointment that I went to with him, with my new doctor, I get shy. Like I get like, well, I think I have this and I think this is what I don't know. And it's because I have been told so much that it's nothing, that it's normal, that I am made to feel like I'm crazy. So I'm scared of advocating for myself now. But do not be scared. Like keep going full throttle until you get the test that you want done and you get answers to your problems. Because you should not be in excruciating pain. So PCOS, in case you don't know, it's like we all have ovaries and we all release eggs, but basically women with PCOS have like high estrogen or low progestin. I don't know how to say it. And you have like a very high insulin resistance. So you have more eggs in your ovaries than you should, which is not normal. Like you're going to have like maybe a couple eggs in there, right? Until like one comes out. Let's say you're like, wanting to get pregnant and then there's a match made in heaven. It's like, perfect. This is a great match. And if you aren't trying to get pregnant and you have your period, great. That little egg goes away and it gets released and it goes bye-bye. Basically, I have a ton of eggs and some of them are like not healthy eggs and not good eggs. So if I was trying to get pregnant, that's why it's not possible. I think I'm still learning. Okay. So I get my diagnoses and then I go into get lab work. Well, before that, I go into the room and I see mom and I'm like, I have PCOS. And she goes, what is that? She was so scared for me as well. Like, my mom knows I'm a hypochondriac, so I don't think she was expecting anything to be like wrong. But she did know, and she did notice that like my mood swings and different things that was going on. She's like, something's wrong with this girl. Okay, she's not normal. Okay, she cries over it. Like this, you need to figure this out. The doctor. So I tell her that, and it was, I don't know. She doesn't know much about that world, right? So she's like, well, great. There's a solution, right? Like there's a solution to the problem. Like, yeah. Like he's gonna tell me what it is. So then I get blood work. I get like 8 or 10 tubes taken out of blood work. So different paper stuff that they're going to run, different labs for different stuff. Because if you have PCOS, there's like different signals that kind of triggered or like show off in your blood work or whatnot. I go back into the room and I'm waiting for the doctor, and then he comes in and he gives me 3 supplements that I have to take. It's DHEA, 5 milligrams, and then it's CoQ10 and inositol, which I'm not a medical health professional. This is not me telling you, if you think you have PCOS, take these supplements. This is me telling you, go to your doctors, advocate for yourself, figure out if that is what you have, or it could be something else so you can get the proper treatment for it. Because I want to go the natural route, I need to take those 3 supplements daily. And that inositol, it's like a powder, and I have to take with a cup of water in the morning and a cup of water at night. And then he also said you have to do intermittent fasting, which was kind of scary for my eating disorder triggering self. I was like, oh, okay, Lisbet, you need to do this a healthy way. This is normal. This is fine. And like, I need to like change my mind thought of like, this is for your body. This is for your hormones. This is for your health, and like so many different components. So he's like, 7 p.m. you're done, cut off window for eating until 10 a.m. the next day, and you're gonna have breakfast. And then you need to have like high protein, you need to have low carbs, you need to have like really healthy meals and exercise, move your body, like just do the things. Which is ironic because some of those things I was already doing earlier this year when I was struggling to lose weight. So I'm more into intuitive eating, which if you guys don't know what that is and you struggle with eating disorders, body dysmorphia, I highly recommend you dig into it. But basically intuitive eating is where you ask yourself, am I hungry right now, or am I sad, or am I bored, or am I upset? And that's why I'm gonna go get a snack or gonna go get food. So once I started to incorporate intuitive eating again, which is the only way that I've been able to lose weight another time in my life, was through intuitive eating. When I got introduced into that, I went back into intuitive eating. So I ask myself every time I'm going to eat, I'm like, am I hungry, or am I sad, or am I depressed, or am I this, or am I that? So that way I can make sure that I'm not just eating to eat or to, cure my emotions or whatever I'm going through at that moment, but I'm eating because I genuinely am hungry. So I started doing that this year. I also had tried to force myself to do like weightlifting and like all these different type of exercises that I had seen online that were good. None of them worked for me. And I think it's because it like, now that I know I have PCOS, I know weightlifting, some women like love it. And maybe I'll like, I don't know if I'm going to get into it, to be honest with you, because I've become a Pilates girl. I love Pilates. I love being in tune with my body. Like Pilates and like mat Pilates, which I do at home. I use the app called the Scope Society, which I would like highly suggest you guys to look into if you are very similar to a lot of things that I'm saying right now. I just don't like going to the gym. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't bring me joy. And I genuinely think that your body knows when you're not having fun, and workouts should be fun and not a punishment. I have done enough punishment workouts in my lifetime. Okay. So I'm not doing that anymore. I'm 25 years old. Like that is another version of Lisbet that is not me anymore. And I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm not going to do it. So I did mat Pilates. I got into that, and it's more slow movements. It's more intuitive to your body and your muscles. And it's just so great. I can't explain it to you guys. It is just fun. I enjoy it. I look forward to it. So I got really into that, into Sculpt Society, and that really helps me lose weight because my body enjoys it, and it's more slow movement. And I started walking a lot. So my sister and I would have dinner earlier and then go on a walk afterwards. We haven't done that in the last 2 to 3 months because we were traveling in in the summertime. And then we have had a lot of health stuff happening for myself and family members. So, you know, priorities in life, right? So things just kind of happened. So I really want to incorporate walking again. Now it's getting darker earlier, so we're gonna have to figure that out. But that also helped a ton. So I would walk after each meal, and I saw some really good results with that. A part that I just felt great. I have struggles with my stomach, and that's in part, I think, now due to PCOS, but also because of my eating disorders growing up. It caused me to not have great stomach. So walking after eating was great to like wake up my intestines and for the food to digest better. So I highly recommend checking or like doing that out as well, like testing it out for like a month and seeing how you feel, or like a week. I really liked it. So I was doing all these little things that I didn't know were like helping my PCOS diagnosis, because I didn't know I had PCOS till last week. But now that I've studied more, learned more about PCOS, it's ironic, and it makes, not ironic, but it makes sense why I lost weight this year, because I started to incorporate more of PCOS friendly forms of working out, of movement. Was having a lot more protein. I focused a lot more on my protein intake. I started snacking less. So I have breakfast, and then I have lunch. And then let's say I have lunch at 12, which is typically my lunchtime. Not anymore, because now I'm eating at 10 in the morning for my breakfast, but like, you know, typically it was 12 p.m. I wouldn't have a snack from 12 to 6. I cut back on caffeine, also because my cardiologist said you got to cut back on caffeine. So now I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and it's not even a double shot, it's a single shot, because I had to cut down even more because I was having heart palpitations, and that's another story for another day. There's been a lot of doctor's appointments in my lifetime for them, like this year, and like it's been crazy. Which also really helps with PCOS, because it's like insulin resistance and like spiking the insulin or whatnot. I'm like still learning about this. Okay, bear with me. So it was great to be able to just have those things in place. So like going and furthering more into like doing more things for my PCOS diagnoses isn't a shock to my system as it would have been if I wasn't incorporating these things already. And I'm a huge believer of like the universe and signs, and everything happens for a reason when it's meant to. So I do believe that like the universe and God were like leading me into that direction, into doing these things, which is ironic. And it's not much of a shock now that I have to incorporate more of these things into my everyday life. So intermediate fasting, eating more protein, taking better care of my body. I also like, I have the biggest sweet tooth, which is also part of of PCOS, by the way. So, to do like that craving of the sweetness, I started to learn how to make matcha, and I literally love matcha so much. It's like I look forward to my lunchtime so I can have matcha afterwards. It is so good, you guys. Ugh, I love matcha so much. I have my favorite recipe. I perfected it. Okay. Cause at first, like the first month of making matcha, I was like, I hate this. This is disgusting. How do people have this? And now I'm the biggest matcha lover. Like I advocate for matcha anywhere I go. I think the flavor is freaking amazing and it tastes so good. You need ceremonial grade matcha, and you need to perfect your recipe. It's like making matcha, and you need to find what works for you, and it's trial and error. I will share my recipe because I made a video about it, because I love my recipe so much. So I'll share that with you guys, but because I'm sorry, this was a matcha rant, but I love matcha. So it's been this past week, and about a week now into changing some of my lifestyle and diet changes, like having less carbs, not eating out as much, which I don't eat out barely anymore. Like I used to eat out a lot more when I was younger. I don't eat out as much anymore. Like it's very rare for me to do so. I love making food at home. I love my like meals, and I feel so much better. So I don't eat out as often, but I would say like now even more. Like for example, yesterday I went to Publix with my mom, and I was really hungry. I was like, Mom, let's not take long because I want to get home and I want to have lunch. And she goes, why don't you get some like little chicken nuggets? If you don't know, Publix has like little chicken nuggets that they make. And I was like, no, I'm okay, because that was not going to be healthy for me. My body was going to feel like yucky afterwards, not because of my eating disorder of like you can't eat that because of the carbs, but more because it wasn't food that was good for me, you know? It wasn't going to make me feel good. So I was like, nope, we'll just finish getting groceries. I'll wait a little bit and I'll have lunch when I get home. And I'm glad I made that decision, because my body thanked me so much more, because I had really good lunch when I got home, instead of eating something that my body was gonna not feel like, my stomach wasn't gonna feel great afterwards. So I've been more mindful about those types of things, about like those types of consumptions of food and what I'm putting into my body. I would say snacking less is a huge thing. I don't have soda anymore. I'm not a soda girl. Like I'm not into Pepsi, Sprite, like any of that stuff, but I did like Sunny D, which is so not healthy for you. Like it's so bad. But that was like my only soda intake, and I cut off Sunny D a couple of months ago, and now I just have water. So all these little things that I've been doing for the last couple months have been helping my PCOS, which I didn't even know I had. But I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out. I'm like trying to see more videos and learn more about, what having PCOS means. And my gynecologist wants to see me back in 3 months to probably do some more lab work. I'm still waiting for the results for the lab work that I did, but I feel so much more in tune with my body now than I ever before since getting that diagnosis, because it felt like my prayers were answered. It was just like I wasn't wrong. I was right. And like having that feeling with my body and myself of I was right feels so good. And I'm so proud of my body for everything that it does for me and for getting me through so many things in life. And so many things have to work right for your body to be healthy and to be doing well. And I think this year was one of the biggest years of me realizing that, of so many things have to be working out perfectly for things to work out. So I'm really grateful that everything has sort of settled into place. Another thing about PCOS, because I'm seeing here on my floor right now, is that you lose hair a lot. And I did notice I was shedding so much hair. And my mom called it. I was like, Mom, it's fine. It's hair. Hair falls out. But it was more than normal. And I just kind of like thought it was normal. It's not. Another thing is like I have a reversed inverted uterus. So your uterus shape is like this. Mine is like this. So instead of like this, it's like this. It's crazy. So instead of like, it's like this. It's crazy. It's crazy. That also means that like I have a little pooch that sticks out more because of that. So I'm never going to lose that like lower belly fat. It's not fat. It's my freaking uterus. And then the other thing is because it's reversed and it's like pushing out more, maybe have to go to the bathroom more frequently. And because of like the way it's shaped and like whatever, I think only like 20% of women have it. So yay, look at me. It doesn't, you're more prone to like UTIs, which is also crazy to me. And then obviously I asked my tech ultrasound when she told me that, and my gynecologist, I'm like, is this going to cause a problem when I give birth or like when I want to have kids? And they're like, nope. Sometimes it reverses, like it like reverses itself when you're pregnant, which is crazy to me. I don't know how that works, but the human body is crazy. So follow along because I'm going to be recording more of my PCOS journey, of foods that I'm eating, of things that I've done, of, changes that do happen, things that I notice. I'm still fresh in the journey. I'm 1 weekend, you guys. Woohoo. And I am not scared. I'm grateful that I was able to find a doctor that listened to me and took me seriously and didn't just tell me that that's normal and it's okay for me to feel that way. So I'm just really grateful for the universe and to God to just like put me in the right place at the right time. So I have answers to my symptoms and to what I'm feeling. And it feels so good to be able to say that I am taking the right steps to figuring that out. So maybe I'll do like a 3-month update after this once, because obviously these supplements are not going to work immediately. So I'll do a 3-month update on my PCOS journey and what that is looking like. So that's going to be next year in 2025, which is crazy to think about that. So I'll see you guys in 3 months with that update. But overall message I want the women that are listening to this to take is, please do not be scared of advocating for yourself, because people have told you that everything is fine by people, doctors and healthcare professionals. No one knows your body better than you do. And no one should tell you that something is normal or not normal, especially if it doesn't feel normal. And even if you sound annoying or you just keep like, don't bark at the same tree 300 times, okay? If a doctor doesn't care and doesn't want to listen to you, go find another one. And I know it's exhausting and I know it's tiring, but it's so worth it when you finally get to a place where you get answers. I hope that this brought someone some sort of comfort. Some of my symptoms, if it's helpful too, is like that stabbing pain that I was telling you guys about. It was so weird. It's not like a cramp. It's like a stabbing pain in your ovaries, and it's so weird. So I think it's because of the eggs, the extra eggs that are in there or whatnot. Irregular periods. So I've never not missed a month of my period. However, my period is super irregular. Sometimes it comes on the 5th of the month, sometimes the 10th, sometimes the 1st, sometimes the 12th, sometimes the 15th. And I get heavy bleeding at the beginning of like my period, and then it kind of stabilizes. Horrible cramps. I have to like take Advil. Sometimes like I have a heating pad and I have to wear the heat. Like I have to just like lay in bed and fall asleep from the pain because it's so much pain. What other stuff? Oh, hairs. I get really like so many random hairs like under my chin, like under my neck, on my chin, like hairs in my moles. It's very weird. But it's normal with PCOS. And then really bad chin acne and like acne on my cheekbones, like cystic painful acne. It's your hormones. It's PCOS. Like I'm not saying for everyone, but for me it was. And I'm not an acne prone person. So earlier this year it got really bad. Like I had horrible cystic acne and I had no idea what was going on. I'm in a good place right now. One, because I think because I changed my eating habits. Two, I also went to an esthetician and she told me I was using too many products. So I think my PCOS with like the overactives that I was using was not helping my skin. So she's like, girl, no. So she cut it back to 5 skincare products, which I love her for. But I think those are like the main ones. And then maybe there's some other ones that to me, like shedding of the hair, that to me are like normal because I've lived with it for so long, but it's not normal. So I'll catch you guys up. I'll like start writing it down more often and then I'll catch you guys up and any new stuff that I figure out. But I'm really excited to get my body into a better place and to feel better. But I'm really proud of myself. So I'm glad I didn't give up on myself. I'm glad that I didn't listen to the doctors. I'm glad that I found someone that does care. And this guy's going to deliver my babies when I got babies. This be my doctor. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening to me rant about this. It's not a rant. I just really wanted to. It's not a rant. It's not a rant. I wanted to share my story to hopefully inspire other women, especially if you're feeling alone with this. If you just got diagnosed like I did, girl, I'm confused. This is so much information. So if you have any tips, if there's anyone that you follow that's really helping you, one of my persons is Mick Zozon, I think that's her name, Mik. And she's lovely. She's amazing. She also has endometriosis. Like she talks a lot about her struggles. And I appreciate her so much for that because she has been my rock. And she doesn't even know it. She doesn't know me. Okay. But she has been my rock this year with my UTIs and BV and yeast infections. Cause she talks about that a lot. She goes through it as well. And she's the only reason that I've like kept pushing to advocate for myself because she talks about advocating for yourself a lot, especially as a female. Like we are so under represented when it comes to like studies for the healthcare. And it's just scary the place in the world that we're going to live in America in the next couple of years. Because it's just going to be less of that. But this is not about that. This is about PCOS. Keep advocating for yourself. Keep going until you get the answers that you deserve. I hope that this was helpful. Your new PCOS girlfriend, best friend is here to help as well. So please share any tips that you have for me because I'm still learning. And I'll see you guys in the 3-month update. Adios. Bye-bye.